It's no secret that I love commuting into work via my e-mountain bike. It makes me arrive at the office feeling revitalised, energised for the day ahead. Sometimes though I do have to drive a car in, and I swear it takes longer, it's more stressful, trying to find parking, things like that. It's not a good start to the day. So I decided I'm going to crunch some numbers. E-bike versus car, the commute challenge. So I set myself a little bit of a challenge, a timed door-to-door ride versus a drive. Now my ride, I've downloaded from Commute to my Garmin. So it's a little bit of B-roads, a little bit of off-road action, staying away from as much tarmac as possible. Yeah, it's a little bit longer way round, but it's gonna be a lot more fun. However, my drive is the quickest route that I know into Bath. It uses all the little shortcuts, all the cut-throughs, and a few B-roads too. It's not a crazy fast route, but it's definitely the quickest way to the office that I know of. It's also going to end in the car park, and then I've got to make it to the office on foot. So the car I'm going to be using for today's challenge is a Mercedes E350 AMG Coupe. This thing is a performance cruiser, big 3-litre turbo diesel engine, 248 brake horsepower, and it's also limited too, but to 155 miles per hour. And we're not going to be touching that today. And the bike we're going to be using for today's challenge is the Canyon Neuron On. It's a trail full suspension bike, 29-inch wheels. It's an absolute flyer machine. It's got a 250 watt motor on there. With me combined, it's about 0.5 brake horsepower. And it's also got a limiter too, but this time 25 kilometers per hour.
Right, let's go. Start the clock.
Start the clock. Oh, great, road works already. Okay, so coming up is a red light. This is the first of many stops. I'm gonna pretend to be on the footpath now, so I can just walk through. Still waiting. Straight on my bike and go. So I've beaten that red light straight away. 30 mile an hour speed limits. I think I go faster down here on my push bike, to be fair. We're just cruising above. Limit, look, 32k. All on your own steam, so you're just saving that bit of power for when you need it, really. The thing that most annoys me about driving into work is you've got this massive 3-litre engine, which is crazy quick, but you never seem to go above 40 mile an hour on the way to work. I may as well just ride a moped in, a 50cc scooter, something like that. So this part of the route is actually a bit less direct than the one the car's currently taking at the minute, so it's going to be interesting. We're kind of chopping a bit of a corner off here. So we're 8.5 minutes into the ride usually. Depending on traffic, when you're coming on the way to Bath, you're probably going to be, I don't know, just coming out of Frome. Sometimes the bypass can get quite backed up in the morning, so it really depends on each day of the week. I mean, it tends to be worse on a Friday, things like that. So hitting these back lanes and escaping across the cut through could be a good plan. Now the great thing obviously about an e-bike is what power mode you ride in. Now today I'm trying to get there as fast as I can, so I'm actually in boost trail most of the way. So it's actually, if I was doing this purely for fitness, or I had more time to burn, then of course I could knock it back to eco, get more of a workout. So this is a little cut through, a bit of tarmac again, then we're going to hit some woods, which is a little kind of epic bit of trail. Fuel, actually, it's looking pretty low. And the Garmin's saying there's a left turn coming up here, but I can't see much of a left turn, especially in this mist. This little hole in the hedge, look. So this actually cuts across to the track that I'm going to be driving in the car. So Wonder what the time difference is going to be. 21 minutes at the minute. And we're hitting kind of midpoint of the ride. So this actual whole bit of road is what I cut off on the Commute. It's just a complete straight line on a bike. You pretty much follow the river, but in the car I've got to go round in a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, and it's a big way round. As I say, on the bike we're just cutting straight across the bottom of the fields here. So I don't know, with this 30-mile-an-hour limit and this added bit of road, the bike might be taking the win. Back on the road after our little off-road jaunt. A couple of miles on the road, then back off-road, thank God. Well, I find when I take the car to work, I feel a lot more tired when I get into work. I think the great thing about riding a bike is that it actually gives you a massive boost of energy, gets the blood going, makes you feel way more alive. So commuting in the car, I get there and I'm a bit like, ugh. Whereas I get there on the bike and I'm all buzzing, I'm ready to go, if a little bit sweaty. The traffic lights up ahead. Luckily timed that one good. This little descent's super fast as well, so really good fun. Quick time check, well, nearly 17 minutes there, look. And we're actually right on the same bit of road I actually dive off when I do my little commute down to the first bit of Bridleway. It's a little bit of off-road action. So I wonder what the time comparison is. We're just cruising along at 50 miles an hour now. There's no way that the e-bike is going to be faster than this. Now obviously then the obvious change of tyres, this sort of riding, there's not much more I tend to do. I just sometimes lock up the suspension if I'm on a big long tarmac stage. But aside from that, it's pretty much the standard kind of setup. So this is Route 24. This is an old railway line that actually ran into Bath. It's totally flat and they've resurfaced it and made it a really cool path for walkers, cyclists, things like that on the way into Bath. And the views are really epic as well. There's a load of cool stuff along the way, as well as if you did fancy a bit of a play. There's some cool tunnels as well, like some big old tunnels that actually cut right underneath through the hills. Now this looks like one of the big tunnels coming up ahead. This is provided by the Sustrans, which is obviously part of the cycling network. They do all the good routes. They do really good things with cycling. This thing is absolutely huge, this tunnel. Check it out. Now on the bike commute, this is where the big tunnels start and actually go under the hills. So I've got to skirt around all the way around in the car, whereas on the bike I'm going to be going straight underneath the city and all the way through underground on a direct flat line, whereas now I'm probably going to have to sit in traffic. Here we go, back to daylight. It's a really nice little break actually. Super cold in there, to be fair. Oh, this man has the right idea for sure. So this is the cut through back to hopefully the same road that the car is going to be stuck in traffic on. Ah, actually, it's Henry Quinney from EMBN. Back off the Route 24, which is the National Cycle Network route. The dreaded brake lights. This is going to be stop-start the whole way. Back onto one of the A roads, and this is usually pretty busy when you come down in a car, so fingers crossed we'll either be in front of the car or it's going to be stuck in traffic and we should pass it. So I've had a really, really clear run today actually, so this has been pretty impressive so far. Wondered by the time I've parked and actually walked to the office from the car park whether that time difference is going to be that big. This is a dream run, I can tell you. This is usually jammed full of traffic, but this is actually amazing. Red lights, red lights. Now this is obviously going to be a bit where we're going to lose another chunk of time. There's 3 sets of traffic lights on a row. Obviously if you hit these all being green, then it's going to be pretty simple, but with them all being red, it's going to take a bit of time. This again is usually really queued up, but not today. Okay, so I found a car parking space. Time to go get a ticket. So a quick time check, 38 minutes to get to my car parking space. This has definitely added some time to my journey. Finally. Sweet, Steve drove in today as well. Nice. Now, it's only a short walk to the office. It's about 5 minutes away from the car park, so hopefully it shouldn't take that long to get there. This is my only chance of fresh air before we get there. I wonder how the clock's looking. Now we're literally just outside the office now, so this is where I commute every single day. And let's get the clock out and have a look at the actual time, that's difference that is made actually driving here. So here we go. 50 minutes, 25 seconds. Stop the clock. 54 minutes 12. Okay, it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of the ride versus the car. And first up actually is the times themselves. Well, the bike did it in 54 minutes 11 seconds versus the car, which was 50 minutes and 25 seconds. Now the thing with the commute with the bike is that commute is actually going to take the same time Monday to Friday every single day, unless you have a mechanic or a flat tire or a snap chain. Whereas the car itself can actually vary massively. There could be an accident on the way home, there could be traffic jams, things like that. You know, a drive in a car that could take an hour can actually take up to an hour and a half. There's so many variables along the way. And the bike, as you can see, was 4 minutes slower than the car. But what actually is 4 minutes? It's the time to make a cup of tea in the morning. By the time the kettle's boiled, you've made your cup of tea, that 4 minutes has disappeared. Now obviously cost is a massive part of commuting as well, especially if you're doing it in a car. I worked out that the actual fuel itself was around £5, obviously including a return. It's £15 to park, so you're up to £20. And obviously you've got things like tax, insurance, MOT, and all the depreciation of the car along the way. So looking at those figures, we're talking about £25 to £30 per day. That equates to around £500 a month just to drive a car into work. Obviously versus a bike, you've got the initial outlay of the bike itself, you've got charging the battery obviously at a cost, and the wear and tear of the bike itself, maintenance and things like that. So it's very little compared to the car. Now driving the car is stressful no matter how you look at it, and the heart rate figures actually reflected that when I checked them out on the Garmin. Now I have a resting heart rate of around 50 beats per minute, and actually in the car it's 86 beats per minute. So I'm obviously getting a bit stressed, heart rate's going up purely because I'm sat in my sweat box, there's drivers around me doing crazy maneuvers. It's just not a nice place to be. Versus the bike where I had an average heart rate of 141 beats per minute, as to be expected when I'm doing a lot of exercise. So some pretty crazy figures there. Now when you're driving the car, there's obviously a lot of stop-start going on in the city. Obviously on the open roads you can quite happily cruise along at a good miles an hour, but the actual average speed of the car is 20.8 miles per hour across the whole journey versus the bike, which is quite surprising, at 14.8 miles per hour. The great thing about obviously the bike commute is the flow of the ride, and it's not stop-start, it's a constant speed the whole way. So there you go, some big figures and a lot of money involved when it comes to commuting, especially if you're doing it by car. It's quite surprising. Obviously commute is going to be different for every single one of us along the way. We've all got different distances involved, so don't take those figures for granted. Obviously, the biggest thing for me, I think, is the amount of bike time that I can actually get in. That's 130 miles per week of riding that I can get in before work. So some big miles. Obviously, I can top that up at the weekend. It just gets me excited for the day of work, gets me energized. So get out there commuting. But if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to check out 100K, the fun way. That's a really cool one to show how far you can actually get out of a couple of batteries. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Drop some comments in the box below about your commute and how you set up your bike, things like that. Really love to hear that. Don't forget you can click the link in the middle of the screen to subscribe to EMBN to make sure you don't miss out on any videos.